Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes.
This week, Congress gathered in our nation's capital to certify President-elect Donald Trump's election victory. It happened exactly 4 years after the January 6th attack on the Capitol that stopped the counting of Electoral College votes and delayed the certification of Joe Biden's victory. I went one-on-one with Congresswoman María Elvira Salazar, who was there this week. Here's our conversation. Congresswoman Salazar, thank you, as always, for joining us here on Impact.
Wonderful. From my office in the United States Capitol.
And
I would rather be in Miami, but
well, the weather's much better here. But
indeed.
This is the first time we talk officially since you won your seat for a third term to represent District 27. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, 22 points, huh? Not bad.
Mm-hmm. Not bad at all. And Congress counted and certified President-elect Trump's Electoral College victory this week. The process lasted, less than an hour? It was apparently a
32 minutes.
Right. A very peaceful procedure. Can you describe the mood this week on Capitol Hill?
Well, I have to say that Kamala Harris was very honorable. She did a very good job. She was very composed. I'm sure that it was very hard for her to read state after state how she lost. But she proved that she was indeed a lady, and that we were all clapping and saluting her for that very honorable attitude. And among the GOP, of course, we were in a festive mode. Mm-hmm. Our president won with the popular vote. That hasn't happened in years. So we're very happy because we think we're going to bring the country back to what it was before.
Well, you will be working with new members in Congress. And even though Republicans have the majority, it is razor thin. You supported Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House. Are you confident that with his leadership, President Trump's agenda will push through?
I have no idea. And I think he is the man of the hour. I have great confidence in Johnson. Johnson is a conservative. He's a guy that doesn't lie, which is really good. And that's something that we talk about among ourselves. He's someone that does not promise what he cannot deliver. So he has gained the confidence and the trust of many members of Congress. He has a very thin majority of two people. So if two people do not vote for that GOP legislation, it tanks, like the jargon that we use here in Congress. Johnson is, and not only that, he has been able to foster this great relationship with Donald Trump. They are opposite. They're polar opposites. Johnson is quiet, and you know how Trump is. He's very picturesque. But we know that they have created a very good working relationship, which is going to take this country back to where we need it to go. Where we need it to be.
The president-elect gave a press conference this week, one day after Congress certified his win. He spoke about many things, including what he calls the golden age of business coming back to the United States, and had a foreign investor that will be investing $20 billion into the U.S. economy. Is this something that you feel will be good for the country?
I think that any capital coming into the United States will bring jobs, and it will reduce the debt, and it will create more taxes. So that's good. And we need to bring all the business we can from China back to this hemisphere. Reshoring and nearshoring. So, yeah, I think it's fantastic when the United States becomes the beacon of hope again for the economic world, for the world entrepreneurs to believe in us and to invest in the best country on earth. Of course, that's what we need. And I have introduced this legislation called the Americas Act, which is to bring every business possible from China back to the hemisphere, whether it's to the United States or to Central and South America. Leave China and come to the United States and to Latin America.
Let's talk about some of your legislation, because you did celebrate a legislative victory as your Bipartisan Dispose Act was signed into law by President Biden. And effectively, authorities will have the tools to crush the fentanyl crisis before it even reaches our shores. Can you tell us about that? How did that come about?
Well, it came about because I'm one of the most bipartisan members of Congress. We have to be doing what's good for District 27. You know, I work for my district. If I need to go across the line and I have to work with the Democrats, I do. And this is the perfect example. Another perfect example is immigration reform law. That is what we need to do. We need to bring or keep the taxes that were implemented in 2017, the first time that Trump came into office. We need to make those permanent. It's like Johnson said, it's not the red or the blue, it's the USA. We're all Americans. We're not Democrats or Republicans. We're USA. And if it's good for you, it's good for me, and it's good for every community, including 27 that I represent proudly.
Okay, you opened up the Pandora's box and you talked about immigration, which has been an important issue for you specifically. Yeah. The president-elect has said that deportations will start on the very first day he takes office. Yeah. And former Congressman and once considered for Attorney General by the president-elect, Matt Gaetz, has celebrated you and your role as a Congresswoman, but he called your Dignity Act, which is your staple immigration legislation, as amnesty. Your thoughts on that? And
I love it. And, you know, I answered him back on, you know, now the new modern, the way that we communicate is through Twitter or not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I mean, which I'm a little bit older for that. But yeah, I answered him back on X. And I told him that he's wrong, that dignity is not amnesty. Amnesty is what the undocumented have right now, which are free roads, free schools, and free hospitals. So what I'm trying to do with the Dignity Act, which I am sure will come to pass under Trump, is what I am doing is that I'm bringing out of the shadows those 15 million people who have been here already for more than 5 years, have American kids, do not have criminal records, are paying taxes, are working. So we want to bring them out of the shadows and tell them, you're going to start paying taxes. You're going to buy a house or a car. You can go home for Christmas. I am not going to give you a path to citizenship yet. You will pay a fine. And then if you want to become an American, we'll talk about that later. But right now, come out of the shadows and have the dignity status. And you know why I'm sure it's going to happen? Because I have had these conversations with the Trump people, people very close to the president. And I have said to them, look, we're going to do the deportation army and you're going to deport El Tren de Aragua. Of course, I think you can do whatever thing you want to with them. You can kick them out violently out of the country and you can do the MS-13, whatever you want, but do not touch the lady who's right now cleaning up the toilets in Manhattan, or the one picking up the jalapenos in Southern California, or the tomatoes and oranges in Florida, because construction, hospitality, and agricultural barons, those industries, those sectors are going to turn against you rapidly.
An opposition leader, Edmundo Gonzalez, who says he won a July presidential election and is recognized by multiple countries as president-elect, paid a visit to Washington to meet with our members of Congress. But first, how confident is the Congresswoman that President-elect Trump will support her immigration legislation? We continue our conversation with Representative María Elvira Salazar. You said you've had conversations with some of President-elect Trump's people, and you believe that he will support this?
I'm sure they're hearing the messages, not only from Salazar 27, but they're talking to construction, hospitality, and agricultural sectors. Yeah. And they're hearing that those hands are needed on the fields, in the slaughterhouses, in the dairy farms. Those hands are needed because if you want to continue being the number one economy in the world, if you want to continue growing as a country, you need hands, not only the high scientists and the very big, important people thinking in Silicon Valley. You need the people, you need the whole spectrum. I am sure that and let me just share with you some more. I've had very important conversations with the ICE people.
Right.
And they have assured me that the first and foremost and the first order of business is going to be go after the Tren de Aragua. And I told them, I'm going to help you. And not only that, I'm not sure if you know that there are 380,000 children. I'm not sure if it's 85,000 according to the New York Times or if it's 380,000 according to ICE. Kids, most of them Hispanics, who are lost. We do not know where they are. They could be being trafficked sexually. They could be forced labor. Anything could be happening to those kids. I said to Wise, you know something? I'm going to help you. We're going to help you through Spanish television find those children.
What about the H-1B visa? Because that's been the national discussion surrounding that visa, and that's where the U.S. employers employ foreign workers for specialty occupations.
And that's fine. And those are the people that are in Silicon Valley, or those are the people that are going to be working on the computers. And I don't have any problems with that. The marketplace will determine who do they need. I'm talking about those who are here already, who have been working, who are on the fields.
Speaking of South Florida, the Haitian community is a large community here, and Haiti relief, which was negotiated by you and Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, was dropped in the last-minute negotiations to fund the federal government. What's the status of that now, and what comes next?
Well, what comes next is that we have to help the Haitians every time we can. We are going to make sure that one of the main industries in Haiti continues, which is the textile industry. And we are working very closely with the with the Trump administration, the incoming Trump administration, to make sure that we bring order and security to the Haitians. This barbecue business cannot continue. But you know, there's a new sheriff in town. And that applies to Haiti, that applies to Cuba, that applies to Venezuela, specifically, who the president-elect was here among us a few days ago.
You welcome Venezuelan President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia to the U.S. Capitol. And even though he is the president-elect, it doesn't look like Nicolás Maduro will accept that election. What were part of those conversations?
Look, Trump was the first president of the Western world, or the leader of the Western world, who imposed sanctions against Maduro, who recognized Guaidó as the legitimate president, who always sent the message to Maduro, you gotta go. And then it happens that we lost the elections of 2020. But now, once again, the people, specifically National Security Council, the people that are coming in close to President Trump, who are going to be governing with him, know the Venezuelan issue very well. And they understand that Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, this is a national security issue. This is not just a Venezuelan isolated topic, or a Cuban because we want Cuba to be free. This is national security. No more of the penetration of the Russians and the Chinese in Western Hemisphere. This is a new ideology. America first. America and the Western Hemisphere, where America is we're all Americans first.
A lot of people have their hopes set on Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State and what he could possibly do with many of the countries that we are discussing right now. What is your thought process on that?
My thought is that this is our opportunity, the next 4 years, for us to do away with all those regimes. We know that the Cuban regime is hanging by a thread. Cubans don't have electricity, water, food, medicine. They don't have hope. You have more than 2 million Cubans who have fled in the last 4 years. So Marco knows the story very well. And ideologically, we're all very aligned. So it's the first moment in history, I would say, in the last 60 years, that we have a president in the White House that understands that, once again, that we have to do away with the axis of evil.
We will leave it at that. Congresswoman María Elvira Salazar, as always, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.